And that very first day, I'll never forget it. It was like, um, people say they, in heartbreak or something like that, you can be shattered. I was a shattered thing can be glued back together and it still resembles its shape. I was not shattered. I was ground into dust. That's what that day felt like. I was nothing.
How are you? Like, I know once the mommy mode kick in, it's not even about you no more. It's about the babies. But once you kind of got them, like, okay, they're good. How are you now? Because now your whole life is changed. Like,
But you don't realize it. In that moment, in that moment, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize how changed. You don't realize that like that.
You don't.
No. Everyone's around. Everyone's
okay.
calling. Then you have to start planning, right? So you got to immediately get on the business side of it, which sucks. Like insurance, funeral. The coroner just picked him up, and you gotta talk to. We live up north, so it's not as busy as like Dallas County. So they were able to do the autopsy the very next day. I have the what is he called? What's that doctor?
Not the coroner.
Yeah, he's the doctor. I can't think of the name right now. It escapes me. I still have brain fog. But he calls me the very next morning. That was another traumatic call.
Not the mortician.
No, he's the medical examiner.
Oh, okay.
So he calls because, of course, the county needed the detectives. They needed to see. He's gone. What? Why did you? People are crazy. Was he injected with something? Did you kill him? That's their main thing that they're trying to figure out.
Weed that out first, and then
So they got back to them like early a.m. So he calls me, the medical examiner. He calls me himself, and he's like, "Hey," the way he was speaking was almost as if he was working on him and looking in his body while he was on the phone. Like, it wasn't like, oh, so when I did it was like, yeah, because in here is this, it was his heart. So he was like, yeah, he's had a heart attack before. And, because that's his job. So it's very matter of fact. I was like, and he's like, so crazy question, I can see the cause of death, but do you want me to go into his head?
Go into his head, like examine his head,
his brain. Like, do you want me to saw open his skull and look in his brain? This is your husband.
Yeah.
I said, and that's a decision that as a wife you have to make. I was like, if you could see what was wrong with him, leave him. Like, and so even those words, it's like I'm talking about him, about him.
Yeah.
I had to make the calls. I had to call. I had to plan. I had to coordinate and flowers. And he had always said jokingly, he would annoy me. When it's time for us to die, I'd be like, Lord, please take me. What am I gonna do with these kids? I don't know what to do with the kids and this. You do too much for me. You could pay the bills. He would always joke like that. It's like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do all this. I gotta go first.
Really?
He was such a jerk face. Yeah. Yeah.
That's that dark Ray humor that
he'd be like, I can't do all that. Like, what? And so I cried, even when I've like glanced at the video of the service. I was there, but I wasn't. That wasn't it. I didn't fully fall apart until the house finally got quiet. People weren't coming anymore. My phone was silent. The kids got into school, and my job, thank God, like they were amazing. I had all the time I needed. And that very first day, I'll never forget it. It was like, people say they, in heartbreak or something like that, you can be shattered. I was a shattered thing can be glued back together and it still resembles its shape. I was not shattered. I was ground into dust. That's what that day felt like. I was nothing. And I died that day. That Portia, she doesn't exist anymore.
Golly. I mean, in what way do you mean by that? Like that Portia doesn't exist no more.
This is, it's so funny. I remember seeing like Lauren London, Vanessa Bryant, other women, even that I worship with that lost their husbands. And I remember seeing them and being like, that is so sad. What would you do? Like, that's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
It is truly the darkest journey. And it's by yourself because all the while my husband was so loved, I didn't even know he had as many friends as he had. Like all them people that showed up, just a rainbow of people. And he was making friends with the people at the auto place and the this and the that. Like I didn't even know he made that many friends because at home I wanted to kill him most days. I did. He knows it. But to see that, to see how loved he was, what he put out into the world, how people received him, and then to now go through this life, and that was at the very beginning. The journey, I didn't even realize how long this was going to be. Like, it was like, okay, I'm going to heal from it, Mm-hmm. That day, it was like, oh no, there's no healing and putting back together the same way. You're going to be somebody totally different because it has been like a mirror held up to myself in 4K. It has made me examine myself as a woman, examine myself as a mother, examine myself spiritually, who I was as a wife. It was truly, I like to say today, an awakening, or like now I'm finally alive. I see what is important. I knew that day that I had to surrender a full, people say they surrender. I didn't know what to do next. I have a whole house, like a big house. It's big too. I have a whole house. I have cars. And sometimes as women, we don't, I didn't give my husband the credit he deserved.